What's up everyone and welcome back to another PoE economics video. So today we're doing another craft that you can either use for profit crafting or to get a really good axe for your build. Now to craft this axe, we're going to follow the recipe on poeeconomics.com. If you're having some trouble at some steps, you can go ahead and check out the full recipe here as well. If you're at it, also make sure to join our Discord server. All of the links will be in the video description. That of course includes the trade links for the items that I'll be buying in this video, like for example the base that you can already see right here. Let's start off with the craft. For the first step, what we'll do is obviously getting ourselves a base. Now in here we want to get a Reaver Axe item level 83 plus with as high of a quality as possible, and ideally it should also have Elder Influence. So we'll just buy this axe from our link right here, which as you can see doesn't have an Elder Influence yet and is also magic. You need to make it rare and then use an Elder's Exalted Orb to give us the Elder Influence. So now that we've added the Elder Influence right here, we can continue on by spamming the Deafening essence of Contempt until we hit % damage over timer multiplier for bleeding from hits with this weapon. Now you can try to hit it as a tier 1 modifier, but tier 2 would also be fine if you have less capital. And of course you will also get adds physical damage as a guaranteed modifier, with the only caveat to using this essence being that if you get those two modifiers, you can also get a chance of a third trash prefix or a third really good prefix. So we can get either no other prefix, we can get a third trash prefix, and we can get tier 1 to tier 2 increased physical damage, which would be our ideal scenario. So depending on what result we hit, we have different outcomes. Now I'll walk you through these different things before we actually do the craft in practice to explain what you have to do depending on your results. If we hit % damage over timer with adds physical damage and no other prefix, we'll get prefixes cannot be changed on the crafting table, and then we'll use the Veiled Chaos Orb on it. But more on this on the next step. If we hit both of the modifiers with a third trash prefix, we will want to use an Orb of Annulment to basically try to remove that trash modifier. And if we remove one of the modifiers that we wanted, so either adds physical or damage over timer, we will have to redo the essence step. Now if we hit % damage over timer and adds physical damage with a tier 1 or tier 2 increased physical damage, which is very unlikely, we can actually skip the Veiled Chaos step, but it's so unlikely that we'll hit it, which is why I also didn't go over the exact explanation for the Veiled Chaos step, even though it's possible that we can actually skip it here, because it's very likely that for this axe that we're crafting in practice, we will actually have to do the Veiled Chaos step at least, or even worse, do the Orb of Annulment step. So to do that, we will get our axe and we'll spam the Deafening essence of Contempt until we hit damage over timer multiplier from bleeding hits with this weapon. As you can see, we finally hit our damage over time multiplier for bleeding hits from this weapon with tier 7 increased physical damage and accuracy rating, and of course our added physical damage. So what we'll have to do here is, because we have another third trash prefix, increased physical and accuracy, we'll have to use an Orb of Annulment and hope that we remove the increased physical with accuracy. And sadly, we removed the bleeding timer multiplier, and so we'll have to continue on with the essence spamming. We finally hit another tier 1 damage over time multiplier for bleeding hits, and this time luckily we didn't get a third trash prefix, and so we can continue on with the next step, which is to craft prefixes cannot be changed on the crafting table, then get ourselves a Veiled Chaos Orb to put it on the item and hopefully add it as a prefix modifier. If we don't have it as a prefix modifier, we actually have to follow after this step, where there's two different options. If either we have another empty suffix, we can use prefixes cannot be changed on the crafting table and then add another Veiled Chaos Orb. But if we don't have an empty suffix, we need to use an Orb of Annulment. In case this Orb of Annulment removes one of the modifiers which we added from the essence, we of course have to go back to essence spamming, and there it's basically just luck. So what we want is we want the prefixes cannot be changed on the item and then add add the veiled chaos orb. If we get it correctly on the prefix, we can go on to reveal it, and we have a guarantee to get hybrid increased physical damage with either chance to poison, bleed, blind, or impale. Of course, either is fine, but ideally we want to hit, bleed, or blind. Another caveat, if we get the chaos orb on the prefixes, but it also fills up the suffixes, then we also have to do a gamba of trying to remove the access modifiers with an orb of annulment. So let's just try that out in practice and see exactly what we get. We get some veiled chaos orbs, we go to the crafting bench, and then we get prefixes cannot be changed. Then we'll use our veiled chaos orb, which in this case got perfectly added as a prefix and also didn't fill up the suffixes. So we can just right click it, unveil it, and we got increased physical damage with chance to poison on hit, which is one of the less than ideal scenarios, but we cannot change anything about it. So we'll just continue on with that. So after we've successfully hit our veiled modifier, next step is a bit more complicated. So right here, we basically want to get prefixes cannot be changed again. Then we go to the Horticrafting station to reroll Reforge speed until we've hit tier 1 attack speed with a couple of other good modifiers. Now these other good modifiers are going to be hits with this weapon have Calling Strike against bleeding damage, % of damage over time multiplier, or socket gems are supported by a level with attack speed as a hybrid. Now, of course, it's possible that we do not get either of these as access modifiers, or we just get one of these as access modifiers and we still have an empty modifier, or we could also not get a good tier 1 or tier 2 attack speed at all, or one of these modifiers, which in that case you kind of have to do a bit of another gamba, where if we have an empty suffix, we can get prefixes cannot be changed, then go back to crafting tier 1 attack speed, and if we don't, we can use an orb of annulment, and then of course we need to go to the according steps that are connected with whatever we have removed. But that would just add too much complexity, especially in this graph, to interconnect it again with the prior steps, and it's also a very unlikely scenario, which hopefully we won't get to. So in that case, I also recommend in here that you just sell it as is, because then it's just a hopeless item, and we want to continue on with the next one. But for the good options, we get tier 1 or maybe also tier 2 attack speed, but no other modifier. We get tier 1 attack speed and one more of the above mentioned modifiers, or we get tier 1 attack speed and two more of these modifiers, which in that case we can sell immediately. Now if we hit no other modifier, we want to get % of physical damage over time multiplier on the crafting table as of course a max roll, and then use an Exalted orb to get our last free suffix filled. And if we get tier 1 attack speed and just one more of the above mentioned modifiers, we can immediately go to adding our free suffix. To do that now, we'll take our item and we'll go to the crafting station to add prefixes cannot be changed, then the Horticrafting station to reforge a speed modifier. As you can see, we sadly got tier 8 attack speed, which isn't something that we want. So we go back to the crafting station, we get prefixes cannot be changed again, and then to the Horticrafting station and reforge with a speed modifier. We got tier 7 attack speed, which is also very interesting. Luckily, we still have an empty suffix, so we can get prefixes cannot be changed again, and then reforge speed, and we got tier 2 attack speed, which in this case we'll just take as is. Now we can get physical damage over time multiplier as a max roll. And now the last step is to just finish it off with an Exalted as explained, because we got the attack speed as a singular modifier, then we added on the physical damage over time multiplier, and now we just have to gamba and hope for one of the good modifiers previously described. We hit increased stun duration on enemies, pretty awful and something that we don't want ideally, but regardless, this axe, if we price it, is going to get us at least 15 divines, which isn't too bad and also not too good. And for you guys' sake, I will actually get myself another axe. So as you saw, we had a long lead up to this item. These two we didn't complete yet, but I already wanted to try out if we can hit something proper on this item right here. So we'll get prefixes cannot be changed again. Then we'll go to the Horticrafting station, of course, get our speed modifier and then press craft. We got tier 2 attack speed, so we'll get our physical. And then hopefully get the lucky Exalted. And we got 6% chance to blind enemies on hit with attacks. Now this is also not an ideal scenario. Pricing this item would be another 25 divines. We didn't get our ideal scenario where we had the perfect axe, and sadly I ran out of currency due to doing a lot of crafts in the recent days. So we do not have more currency to continue on with these two axes, and I want these to sell first. Hopefully you'll have some better luck than me. Now this is profit nonetheless. It's around 10 divines per axe, which isn't too great, but as I said, you can make up to 100, 120 divines is what I did before with these axes, which is pretty insane. So thank you guys very, very much for watching. A special thanks to all of our channel members. Make sure to check out our Discord in the video description. I'll be seeing you guys in the next one.